Good evening. We're live, Teach Better family. It's the Sunday weekly warm-up, streaming exclusively on the teachbettergroup.com on Facebook. We're here with Ray Hughart and Brad Hughes from the Teach Better team, your Sunday dynamic duo. Welcome you into the week ahead, reflecting on what we hope was a warm and wonderful weekend and helping to beat the Sunday scaries with some great conversation, some great inspiration, maybe a little entertainment, some sprinkling of shenanigans, and of course, a wonderful and special guest with us tonight, podcaster, educator, and incredible contributor, Brian Martin. Ray Hughart, we hope you had a great weekend, and we're looking forward to getting into some discussion with you right after our little break. So stay tuned, everybody. Glad you're here. You are with the Sunday weekly warm-up, our weekly opportunity to gather the Teach Better family together live on StreamYard, streaming exclusively in our Teach Better group on Facebook, soon to become an episode of Teach Better Talk podcast, as well as we'll restream this replay to our listeners and viewers again on Monday evening. But Ray Hughart, welcome in. We're live with Brian Martin, and we're live with some incredible guests and viewers and visitors right here in our Teach Better group.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I love streaming in our private group because we can see all your comments and you can see each other's comments. So please, if you are just popping in, welcome each other into your amazing Sunday. Brian, I'm so glad you were here to join us. I love your podcast and I cannot wait for all of our crew here to get to know you better as a person, as an educator, and then also to go subscribe, rate, and review your podcast because there's some great things going on there. So, Brian, if people aren't familiar with you yet, which I'm not sure how that's possible, let's pretend, then would you mind sharing a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I want to say thank you for having me, for letting me be a part of this. The Teach Better team, you guys absolutely crush it. And, you know, like you said, Ray, that I have a podcast, the Teaching Champions podcast, and I've been able to interview several people from the Teach Better family, like Livia Chan, Debbie Tannenbaum, Ashley Hubner, Jillian Dubois, Miss Ray Hughart, and so amazing. You guys absolutely just unbelievable group of people. So, you know, that's a blessing. I know what you guys do here. And so I'm Brian Martin, a second grade teacher. I'm a veteran. I'm a speaker, former basketball coach, and, you know, just happy to be here.
So many fun things going on, and I love all the work that you do, Brian. I'm excited to dive into that as we get into our discussion. Brad, how are you doing? How was your weekend?
Great weekend here in Southern Ontario, Ray. We are moving away from a cold snap. We had bitterly cold temperatures this past week, and I know Brian is in Western New York, so I think temperatures weren't much warmer where he is, but great weekend of relaxing and dipping a little bit into work, dipping a little bit into some personal time, dipping a little bit into family connections, and just making the most of a weekend, just staying warm and cozy. And how about you?
Oh gosh, guys, I have a lot I feel like I want to talk about for my weekend. I know it sounds silly, but one of the things I was working on was finalizing, and I'm one away from saying I'm done. And you guys know we have a big project and you're so close to the end. I was finalizing our commercials for our 12-hour live happening this month, 20 days away, February 25th. If you guys haven't seen what's going on for 12-hour live, here's a little quick sneak peek at the commercials that I literally can't play the whole thing because this is just a sneak peek, but it does have the full schedule. So if you haven't planned your day from 8 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern that day, there are so many segments, so many guests, and more giveaways than we've ever been able to give away before. So here's a peek at that. Guys, you don't understand how much I want to play the rest of this. It's so good. Brian, you mentioned Livia Chan and a few other family members of our Teach Better family are actually in that video, and they speak and share some of their love. And I'm just so excited for everyone to see those little clips.
Yeah, Livia is so good. She was on the podcast, and you probably have had many more interactions than I have, but what a blessing she is.
Okay.
Just the sweetest heart, and just everything that she does is amazing.
So
Yeah,
good.
Brian, the world needs more Livia Chans, and all of us in Teach Better, and I know including yourself as an educator's heart led and in it to win it as far as those personal connections with staff, students, and just everyone in our community. Olivia has a heart of gold and isn't afraid to put it on her sleeve.
Yeah, I think that video specifically, if you're keeping track during the 12-hour live event on February 25th, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn for 12 hours straight. That one specifically has Liv, Carrie Pitstick, who runs our blog department with Liv, and Amanda, who does just all the wonderful things. If you guys ever have gotten a postcard or a gift from Teach Better, Amanda does all that wonderful stuff. But the other thing I did, Brad, is we had a 10-year-old birthday in our family this weekend. And can I just tell you, I don't know if any of you have gone to a kids rock climbing place anytime recently. Have either of you done that? Gone to like a kids rock climbing thing?
Nope, can't say I have.
Okay, so there's a place where I live called Funtopia. Feel free to look it up. And it's literally, first of all, this was the most well-oiled machine I have ever seen for a kid's party. So huge, enormous, teacher to teacher, shout out to them, because they were organized and insane with the kids. Phenomenal. But it is a massive facility. It looks like almost a warehouse with colors and just incredible challenges, rock climbing walls all over, like the colors were insane, ninja courses, and the kids just wore harnesses and ran around. Brad, I think this needs to be like a Teach Better bonding event, because it was structured for kids. So if you were scared as an adult, this was like the way to go. Like, it wasn't an intimidating rock climbing wall. It was like a rainbow rock climbing. It was a little bit more like fun. I don't know how to explain it.
I think it would be perfect as a Teach Better get together, a Teach Better community building activity. You set a goal. Maybe it's something that you've never done before, but there's lots of support, both physical support and emotional support. And, everyone can celebrate a new accomplishment. I mean, I remember a wonderful hike that we went on as a Teach Better team when we had our summer retreat, Ray. And that was wonderful to get from one place to another in beautiful surroundings. And when we got to our chosen destination, we had a wonderful activity, some team building and some team bonding and some goal setting. And we could certainly incorporate some rock climbing into our Teach Better shenanigans.
I think we should. And Brian, as a teacher, those staff meetings where they do the little games to get staff to bond, I think those are great. But in February, bringing your staff together is even more important mid-year. And I don't know how we could swing it or how we're going to get the funding for it. But guys, I think if every single staff went to Funtopia, it'd be a different world we'd live in.
Who would be the best rock climber, do you think? If you had to take a poll, who would be the come out
on our
top?
team? Like,
on your team. In the team.
I feel like Joshua Stamper, but I don't know why.
Yeah, Josh came to mind for me too, Ray. He's built the climb. He's upwardly mobile, and there's no strings attached when it comes to Joshua Stamper. He can do it on his own.
I just think it'd be a fun competition, because we have Brian, this because our team, but 23 people on the internal Teach Better team. Obviously our communities extend from there, but we have all different personalities, to extreme introverts to extreme extroverts. And I feel like this environment was so beautifully set up and managed that even the biggest scaredy cat had a little opportunity, a little challenge to take. But then those like high risk kind of adventurous types also had so many other options. It was just such a well laid out place. So we all need to go to Funtopia. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Brian, how do you and your loved ones let off steam in Western New York when you're looking for a chance to connect or to get away or just to refresh and re-energize? What kind of things light you up?
Yeah, so right next door we have St. Bonaventure University, so a big basketball program for us. And so going to the games. And then my in-laws live a couple hours away, so we'll shoot up there sometimes for the day. kind of hang out. So, but keep it nice and relaxed.
Yeah, I think relax is good. Brad, I know you had a long week, and it sounds like you had some good relaxation this weekend to get ready for the week ahead.
Yeah, sure did. Just a combination of walks in the neighborhood, some delicious things to eat and drink, just quiet time in front of the TV, continue to do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts and audiobooks and crossword puzzles and even a little bit of a Lego build this weekend, Ray. So I have a little bit of everything going on just to both either distract or maybe to re-energize or reconnect with my loved ones.
Brad, that really reminds me of, and we've talked about this ages ago, maybe on this show or on Daily Drop-In, but the joy list, where you create a list of things that bring you joy and you put the length of time next to it. That way, if you need something that brings you joy, but you only have 15 seconds, or you need something that brings you joy, but you have 3 hours, what are some things you can choose? I feel like you just named so many different things we could all put on our joy list that within moments kind of bring us some happiness. Brian, if you had to create a joy list, do you have like the go-to thing you would go and throw on your list?
Joy list, definitely working out, reading. I love listening to podcasts or audiobooks. Sometimes we have pretty rural area, so going and walking in the woods, those would definitely be the top for the joy list. How about yourself?
Yeah, gosh, I'd have to think about it. I want to challenge our crew here in the comments. Give us one thing you put on your joy list. And if you can, this would be kind of like extra credit. Put in parentheses how long that one thing takes. Because I do think that if we make a robust joy list of all different time frames, we always have the opportunity to have joy. I know mine's a little goofy, but one of my quickest ones on my joy list. Okay, you're all going to roll your eyes at me. I'm so sorry. Brad, you're going to for sure have a joke about this, but have you ever cut up an onion and cooked an onion with olive oil and salt? Like, I don't even need to eat it, but the smell that fills your home, it's like instantaneous relaxation and joy. And that's like something that takes, 3 minutes to get some good smells of some home cooking going. And there's so many different recipes you could do that are easy. Brad, what would you put on your joy list?
I would put filling the home with beautiful smells of cooking food and my joy list, I would say just being grateful for loved ones, time just looking at and enjoying our dog and its antics, and being grateful for our kids and family, and just feeling happy about the things that are good in life, and feeling happy about contributions that we can make as educators and community members to improving the lives of other people.
So good. I know you mentioned that you built with some Legos this weekend. Brian, I feel like with your age group, Legos has to be something that you got to put on your joy list too.
Oh, yeah. The kids love the Legos.
Yes, I love it. I like all these comments of the joy list. These are so exciting. We might have to read through these and steal these later. Everything from sports to lunch dates with your adult daughter. Stacey, I love that one. It's just so nice to be able to have little things that when we're kind of feeling gloomy, it's hard to sometimes, choose to do those things that bring us joy, or even know what those things are when life gets challenging. And so I used to keep my list on my fridge just because I knew it was it was like just a marker board. I used to jot things down. But just a fun little pick me up if you're looking for some consistency in February. Brad, I know we are going to get into some deep discussion here with Brian about the things that he's doing, the passions he has. Are you ready to get into our discussion?
I'm so ready to do a deep dive with Brian Martin after this break, Ray.
Hey everyone, we are so excited to get into our discussion with the one and only Brian Martin. If you are not familiar with him, you are in for a treat. I know that I originally got connected to you, Brian, with your podcast. I know that there's so many things to talk about. Obviously, you're an educator and you do so much good work, but will you give us a little overview of how you started the podcast? Brad, I know you just met with him about the podcast, so I'd love to hear your thoughts after Brian gets started.
You know it.
Yeah, so the podcast was just COVID hit, and I wanted to get into like speaking. So we bring in educators to speak at the beginning of the school year and such. And this is I thought, well, what a great way. COVID hit. Let's start up a podcast. So that was kind of the whole behind it. And then it originally started as just a monologue. And I'm coaching basketball, being in a rural area. We would jump on these yellow school buses, and it's an hour or two every single night. And the assistant coach that I coached with, so we would just sit next to each other, and we would just fire away different, whether it's books or videos that we've watched and everything. So it was just, how can I take that? And there were so many parallels. Like if we look outside, so sports is my world. I love sports. So many lessons from sports that you can take into the classroom that I thought, like, I work with, at the primary level with all these ladies that aren't necessarily sports fans, but there's so many lessons from sports. And that would go, if you had musicians, if you're in the arts, there's so many different lessons that we can pull and bring into our classroom. So I thought, I want to share some of that. And I guess that's kind of how the podcast started.
So cool. I know, Brad, you are a huge part of our podcast network, over running that with the team with Joshua Stamper. What's something that you look for in a good podcast, Brad?
So many things, Ray. The first thing that comes to mind, and I really connected with Brian's podcast, Teaching Champions, is sincerity and authenticity. Brian's intention is to elevate and to champion the work of incredible educators, and to do a deep dive like we're doing with them right now into what they do and why they do it, and the impact on kids. And the better we know each other as educators, I think we get inspiration, we get practical takeaways and ideas to inform our own practice. But educating, it's no joke. It's hard work. It's incredibly emotionally and time intensive. And there's so much to be gained from being an educator as well. So, in Brian's podcast and in the podcast that I enjoy the most, I get restored. I get connected with educators from around the world. And I know that I'm in the right profession doing the right thing because of guests like the ones that Brian features.
Brian, a huge part that I love about connecting just with you in general, whether it be the podcast or following you on social media, is your passion for not only sharing your story, but sharing other educator stories. And even just when I asked you about your podcast now, you're talking about the lessons that you've been able to see, whether it be in sports or in your time teaching, and then sharing that with others to really amplify the solutions of education, right? We always joke that every problem in education, the solution exists in a classroom. We just have to have access to it. And your dedication to sharing those solutions and those great stories is so wonderful. Any come to mind as maybe a favorite that you like to highlight?
There's just so many. And before we got on today, I was going back through and I wanted to highlight some of the different like Teach Better members. I thought, I've had the blessing to talk to, 5 or 6 of the Teach Better members. So I was writing down some notes, and, from Jillian Du Bois. I mean, just like you rate her and Live Together, just beautiful souls. And, she talked about on her podcast when she was on, she talked about, the importance of seeing the shine in our students and letting our students know their shine, because so many don't hear it. They don't know what it is. And it's not just like it. So I'm working with 7-year-olds, but the high school kids too, being up when I was coaching basketball, sometimes you're dealing with, these alpha males, and they're all great, but they only saw themselves sometimes as this athlete, and they were so much more. And so I thought that was beautiful. Liv, she's talking about like those atomic interactions and just seeing the daily moments that we have as gifts, and just like that perspective. When you want to talk about like having a positive energy, keeping in that right mental state, it's just a simple twist, seeing like being right here with you and Brad, like that's a gift right there. And then
Jillian's done such wonderful things, participating and being a leader in our ambassador program. Shout out to Jillian if you're not connected to her. And Liv is such a bright light in this educational field. I know she's in the comments right now, probably blushing, but Liv, we love you. Thank you for what you do, our Teach Better community, but also what you do for our internal family, running our blog department. Outstanding job there.
Yeah, and then I had this wonderful girl named Ray that came on, and what Ray said is, she talked about community, and one of the big things that you highlighted with your time is like that importance of community. And one thing with the podcast, I know Brad's podcast, and I told him the other day, Good News, Brad News, the best podcast name ever.
I agree.
Yes, and I see like what you guys do with the Teach Better team, like keeping it positive, understanding there's going to be bad days, there's going to be bad moments, but what we fill our heads with, being there to support, to encourage, to lift others up is so important. So it's just, connecting with you people, all the people that were on it from your team, that's the message that they give out, and that's important.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that, just after COVID had hit, in North America, there was this big movement, kind of shaming toxic positivity. And I think there's an element of being aware that, sharing positivity, feeling hopeful is not something that is a negative, assuming that you do it with great, genuine, authentic feeling. I love, Brian, that you noted that there are hard weeks, there are tough problems in education. And I really value that we acknowledge those occur. We acknowledge that they're challenging. We acknowledge we need time to move beyond them. But the mindset isn't, oh, they don't exist. The mindset is we can move beyond them. And I think that's the difference between forcing positivity versus just believing in the Teach Better mindset. It's not the ignorance that the negative times exist. It's the knowledge that we will get through them, and we will get through them together. Brad, what are your thoughts on that?
Ray and Brian, I'm just thinking about the power of community. And as Brian said, contributing to a community, whether it's the Teach Better family or a school community or a community of podcasters, community members like we have the opportunity to interact with, don't let us sit in our worry. We empathize, we support, we're there in the moment, but we also know that it's important to help each other to rally when there are tough times, and we're there for each other. And it's that power of community that no one is in this alone, because in any line of work, but I think particularly in a heart-led endeavor like education, we ask so much of ourselves that sometimes it's very easy to feel alone when times are tough. But, a community that includes people like Brian and Ray and Liv and Jillian and all of our Teach Better friends means that we've got people to commiserate with. We've got people who can be there and accept how we're feeling, even if it's feeling low, but also know that those low feelings are going to be temporary because we'll be able to support each other through it.
Well, look, you can even see it in the comments, right? We have Stacy and Julie and Mark and Liv and Megan, all these people jumping in, sharing. Not only Elijah's in here, sharing not only with each other, but really encouraging one another. It's powerful. I'm not sure that I'm allowed to say this and be very careful, but it's so relevant to this. Brad knows that today we received from our incredible photographer that we had at the Teach Better Conference 2022. Ryan Caswell is outstanding, and he put together a 5-minute and 30-second recap of the Teach Better Conference. And we haven't shared it publicly yet. I probably am going to get in trouble for even mentioning it, but I posted it in our internal group being like, hold on, guys, look at what happened. Look at what we did as a Teach Better family. And I'm so excited for y'all to see it. But Brian, you would totally understand this as a podcast host. We had a lot of different voices that Ryan was able to highlight in this summary. And of course, he interviewed me and Chad. He interviewed Dr. Dave Schmitto and Joshua Stamper. Those were all internal team members. Of course, they had a good time at the conference, right? It's like, yes, but hold on. Then he interviewed Jackie, who's an ambassador with us, who's just oozing just love. That girl is so unbelievable as an educator, as a person. And Dr. Neil Gupta's comments were featured. Mickey Smith Jr. had an incredible voice that he was able to share in this video. And it was so nice to really hear the voices of the Teach Better family, the voices of people who were there just to be supportive, share their insight, and kind of connect with others. And I'm so excited for you guys to see this. But Brad, what were your initial thoughts of that video? I know you saw it, and Brian, I'll have to like secretly send it to you so you can take a peek.
Yeah, it was food for the soul. I mean, what an incredible opportunity that we all had to be together in Akron. And those opportunities, when you reflect on them, they make you realize they're not to be taken for granted. Just the opportunity to come together with like-minded educators, with fun educators, with incredible people. I mean, sometimes we have these events, Ray, where we meet up with the most wonderful people that we've ever had the chance to interact with, and it's was a real gift, and it was really, like I said, food for the soul to revisit that.
Yeah, you know, I want to give a shout out to our ambassadors. Maybe we do need to figure out how to share it with our whole community. Maybe I'll post it in the ambassador private group. You guys can get a sneak peek, but I'll keep your email. If you're not on our email list, direct message me or direct message somebody on the team. We'll get you on the Teach Better email list. We'll be sending that out. And I think if you were at the event, you're in the video. It's a 5-minute video that just features faces and laughter and takeaways. I think you guys will love it. So I'm sorry to say that and then not be able to show you yet, but we will show you. I promise.
I think a red carpet premiere is in order. We can fuel up the Teach Better jet. We can fly to all places around the continent. We can pick up people like Brian and pick up all of our conference attendees, and we can have, you know, maybe a red carpet premiere to go along with the Grammys. That one of our commenters is saying that Mickey Smith Jr., our keynote presenter at the conference, is at the Grammys. So it's just incredible.
Yeah, he won a Grammy a few years ago and now gets to be invited back. It's awesome. Brian, I think you should go to the Grammys at some point. You'd be fun walking down the red carpet and enjoying all the fun, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say, getting on here, that I can't sing a lick, but if you and Brad want to bust out a duet to warm up for the Grammys, I'll hold down the background music for you guys.
Okay. I appreciate that. Do you have any instrument? Maybe you could do drums or at least tapping on the table.
I'll tap on the desk while you guys take it away.
Perfect. Brian, tell us a little bit more about your classroom. I know we focus on the podcast because I just am such a fan, but tell us a little bit more about you as an educator.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say, as an outsider, that, you know, I watched the Teach Better conference, and I knew some of the people that were going to be there. But then as I'm watching you guys and you're posting all of this stuff, like the amazing people that you brought from all over the country was crazy. And I don't even know the whole list, but just seeing like some of the people that you had there. And I think it was important that you said that, you know, you watched that video and you said to your crew, you know, look what we did. Because everybody, and I think that's important for teachers too, we're always looking forward, we're always looking ahead, we're always seeing those mountains that we need to cross. But you know, it's a lot of 100-day marks are coming up in the classrooms. It's looking back and really seeing, you know, to get that second half win, see how far they've come. Let them know how far they've come too. I think that's important. But you know, I went on a tangent there. So second grade, it's just a beautiful age group. Like when you're talking about 7 or 8 year olds, and I know Brad, he's right there in the elementary school. So you got these little people, and in the classroom, they're coming in and, you know, they're reading, you know, small picture books a lot of times, but by the time they leave, they're cranking out these chapter books, and just with the math, they're just blossoming. And it's just such a neat age. And they're innocent. They'll tell you straight from right off the cuff, you know, what they're thinking, and they'll let you know. But they provide so much joy, and just it's just a beautiful age.
You know, Brian, I know we have some giggles that we're going to get to in our next segment, but I'd love to challenge you. Is there any topic that you found, whether it be maybe your whole time in education or even just recently, that you feel is your soapbox moment, like something that you feel so passionate about that you're feeling that educators need to continue learning about? Where does that hit with you?
Yeah, you know, I guess my soapbox would be where I stand at is like on the growth mindset piece, and that F word, that failure, and how we view failure and how we talk to our students about failure. You know, a lot of with the growth mindset, with Carol Dweck's work, a lot, you know, we get the yet. But I like shouting out that failure. And often we'll say, like, in my class, and we have a little mantra that we say every single morning. And the first thing that I have them say is make mistakes. I want that seed planted 180 times. And we're going to say it throughout the day that you better be making a mistake, because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. So, and Sarah Blakely, I'm not sure. Do you know who Sarah Blakely is? Have you guys heard this story? I'm sure about
no, but
it. So,
tell us. Our community needs
Please.
to hear it.
all right. So Sarah Blakely, she's my hero, I guess. And it's a wonderful story all about growth mindset. And if you don't know who Sarah Blakely is, it's a famous story. She's the founder of Spanx, and she's, I think, the youngest billionaire or youngest female billionaire, self-made. And she said one of the things, and she started, what a lot of people don't know is like she started Spanx, and when she was coming up, when she was making this business, it was male dominated. Like all, in the ladies' undergarment industry, it was all ran by males. And so she's trying to break into it. She was selling copiers at the time, making cold calls from business to business. So she had this idea, and she only had $3,000 to $5,000 to start off with. And there's a whole long story about it. But she faces many hurdles, but she gets past them all, and she develops Spanx into what it is today. She's a billionaire, started with $3,000. And she said one of the most important things that happened to her when she was growing up, because we shy away from adversity sometimes, even adults. When I say that F word, that failure, she said when she was younger, so she's in elementary school, and her and her brother, she said they would come home from school, and her dad would be waiting there, and they would sit around the dinner table. And she said he didn't want to know what we succeeded at that day. His only question was, what did you fail at? And she said it got to the point that if she didn't say something that she failed at, that he was upset with her. And the whole point behind this is he planted a seed in her head early on that failure isn't going out there and not being successful the first time or the second time. Failure is when you don't even try. But that seed has to be planted over and over again. And she said that was planted in her so much that it allowed for her to face all these struggles and keep going. And another point that he also said to her, along with that failure, is what did you learn from it? The second most important point. So go out there. Failure is not trying. And what did you learn? So famous, I love, I don't know much about Spanx outside of Sarah Blakely, but she's awesome.
I love it. I can condone it's a great product, but this is not an ad, just to confirm. Brian, that's so good. What an incredible takeaway. I'm excited to take this incredibly inspirational story and then head into our weekly giggles. We'll be right back. We are back for our Sunday weekly warm-up, streaming exclusive in our private group on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're not in our group, then head over to teachbettergroup.com. It's a free Facebook group, over 7,000 educators, so go check that out. Brad, this is my favorite segment that we're able to do on occasion on the show. Brian, I know you're going to love this because a weekly giggle is always what I need to set up for a successful week.
Ray and Brian, I was so excited. I'm sharing a 2-for-1 special on the weekly giggles, and I'm so excited. I can almost not even bear it. And I'm going to share my screen to let you know about bear selfies that are happening in city of Boulder, Colorado. Selfie Bear has created 400 selfies with their very own wildlife camera, and these selfies have captured hearts around the world. It really is just incredible. If we can just pause for a moment to give thanks for this bear that has a real fashion sense, a real camera sense here. Look at that face. It's incredible.
Oh, love it.
400 of these selfies. And it's just incredible. Just a close-up glimpse of an animal just trying to connect. There's a very pensive look right there. 400 of these selfies. If you want to dig in, I can make sure that I share.
There's got to be There's got to be a good lesson with this one that you could bring to students and challenge them. Don't you think, Brian?
Absolutely.
What I'd love to shift though is my 2-for-1 special. It's another selfie, and this is a bear selfie. And I'm wondering if you can see that on the screen. If you can guess where that bear selfie might appear. Any guesses?
Sand, maybe like
The moon. I don't.
the
Good
moon.
guess. It's on Mars. It's a formation of craters and depressions and perhaps silt on the surface of Mars that looks like a bear. So
It totally does.
in this photo here, it shows a little bit of a distance. Scientists wonder if the nose of the bear is volcanic or a mud vent, or maybe the deposit around it could be what used to be lava or mud flows. The circular pattern around the bear's snout might be settling of a deposit over a buried impact crater, but because they're smarter than the average bear, the researchers explained and have shared this image of a bear on the surface of Mars. So there it is, right there.
Gosh.
So that's your 2-for-1 special from Colorado to outer space. I just can't bear it.
I think that would be a good little challenge for our crew here. We always love to challenge our viewers. And on Sunday Weekly Warm-Up, we're getting ready for the week. I wonder if everyone needs to find a way to incorporate a bear joke or a bear lesson with their kiddos this week. Like maybe I see emojis in the live stream already, maybe something related to that, but I want to see some bear stuff. This would be a funny little thing to try all together. Brian, you think you can work that in with your kiddos this week? Anything that you can fold in a bear story? There's got to be something.
Yeah, they would absolutely love that. I'm sure we could put some pictures up there and have them guess where that bear face was at.
Exactly. I love it. Before we wrap up, I do want to make sure you all here in our Teach Better family connect with Brian, obviously going and subscribing, rating and reviewing his podcast, but also just connecting with him as the incredible educator that he is, working with students every single day. Brian, would you mind sharing how we can stay connected?
Yeah, I would love to connect with everybody. I'm on Twitter at bmartinreal or on Instagram at Teaching Champions Podcast.
I love it. So good. Brad, can you commit to our bear challenge?
I sure can. I'm thinking that providing up to 400 photos of those grizzly selfies might give kids an opportunity to sort of caption it like a meme. It's mood of the day, or if you take 9 of them and ask in bear emotions, how are you feeling today? It's just positively amazing that
I love this. This is so good. I'm going to get thinking as well. I got to look at my week and see where I'm going to be. I'm going to incorporate some bear stuff. This will be a good little fun joke. Make sure if you're participating in that, wherever you are sharing your voice on whatever social media you love using hashtag #TeachBetter, or you could post it here in our private group. We'd love to hear from you over at teachbettergroup.com. Brian, thank you so much for coming live with us. It was such a joy to see you again and get to learn a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. You two are rock stars, and I know this community is really special, so thank you.
So fun. And Brad, I know we touched a little bit reflecting on the Teach Better conference. I do want to say, if we were to possibly have a future Teach Better conference, maybe in 2023, it would most likely, for surely, be announced during this show in our private group. So I would love to challenge everybody to make sure their friends are at the show. And I know next week's the Super Bowl. We won't all be together, but I feel like the following week feels like a good one, Brad. Doesn't it feel like a good one, the 19th?
I think it feels great. Super Bowl weekend coming up a week tonight, Ray. So as you said, the weekly warm-up will be taking the night off so that we can all enjoy the fun and the football frenzy. But the week after might be a can't miss episode in terms of coming events in the Teach Better community.
It just feels, Brian, can you feel it even through the screen? It just feels like a show on the 19th you won't want to miss. You know?
I can feel the anticipation building. Yes.
I know. I have a little clip here. I don't really know how it starts. Hold on. We have a few viewers still left here. Yep. Let me click this real quick. Hold on. that felt too close. I probably shouldn't share anymore. But anyway, we'll see you 2 weeks from now for our Sunday weekly warm up. We love you. We appreciate you. Go connect with Brian and let us know what we can do to help. Bye, friends.